I'm at mile 691 right now. I was just dropped off by Kiss and Jolly Rancher down where I left off for my slack packing route a couple days ago. It was pretty emotional today because I officially said goodbye to Angel's Rest Hostel. It was really holding back a lot of tears. Had some really good talks over the past few days with Jolly Rancher and the British Cocoa. So yeah, it feels good to be back on trail today. There's a lot of like deep emotions though about leaving people who really care about me at the hostel. That's the saddest part about this trail is you make really deep connections, then you have to move on and you just stay connected through things like Facebook or texting. I'm looking forward to the next few days, just feeling like I'm hiking for the right reasons right now and not rushing. Like I'm so in the moment. I'm just like honed into the moment right now. I feel really good about that. I just came across a small green snake who slid into there, probably like 6 inches long or so. Pretty bright green like these leaves. I am seeing my first sign for dragon's tooth. Last night was my first night sleeping alone at a shelter. I've done something very similar before when I was doing that 23 miles into hot springs. I slept behind a shelter with only one guy who I didn't even get to talk to. He was in the shelter, but when I woke up I was alone. But this time I officially fell asleep by myself and woke up by myself in the shelter, so that was a little interesting. I was a little bit uneasy last night because the shelter is a third of a mile off of the trail, so you're really out here. And I mean, there were like hiking boots and a chair here, like a camouflage chair, so I was like and every now and then I would hear some noises. There were a lot of bees making noises in the walls of the shelter, but then at one point I did hear footsteps like right alongside here, like something walking through the stones, and that sort of jolted me out of my sleep. And I was fine until that, and then I was like a little bit more unnerved, but it still was nothing like I would have been when I first started this trip. It was still like way better. I tied my food bag up at a tree over there, and I didn't notice it till afterwards, but I thought like, do I see a string up there? And then yeah, there was definitely a cut string, like someone had to cut their food bag. And then today I noticed there's like more than one. And what happens, of course, the very end of my string, I don't know how it got caught in one of the branches, like in like a part of a branch that's broken, and no matter how much I pulled, it just would not get off. So I was like, all right, this string's gonna be hard to cut. So I took my what's it called, the MTK neck knife, the one that Dixie uses too in her videos. I always knew it was really sharp, but I didn't realize how sharp it was. I was like, all right, this is gonna take a little bit of cutting. I barely touched it to the rope that I was cutting, and it just cut straight through. I was like, I barely even had to put any force on it. I wasn't even like ready to cut it yet, and it just cut. I was like, okay, that was easy. So at the morning, actually, even though it sucks I had to cut my rope shorter, it's like, and I had to leave that up in the tree, but that actually wasn't as much of a hassle as I thought it was gonna be because it cut really fast. So yeah, today's gonna be an exciting day. A lot coming up. It's just like there's stuff all day. So I have my 700-mile marker coming up, and that's like in 3 miles or something. And then in 4 miles is Dragon's Tooth. That's part of the Virginia Triple Crown. And lots and lots of view icons on the Guthooks app all day. Four Pines will be along the way. I might stop just because I want to see it. I might stop overnight. I'm not sure. And then if I continue onwards, it'll be, can never pronounce it, but McAfee's Knob, the most photographed part of the Appalachian Trail. I'll be hitting that. It's a little unreal that I'm right there. And I mean, I've known it was right there all week. I've been so close to it. It just took me a while to, get out of the Angel's Rest Hostel. So now it's like I'm right there, and it's really hitting me like, wow, I'm doing the Appalachian Trail, and I'm doing, the things that everyone always is looking at on, like, the pictures that everyone looks at. It's always McAfee Knob pictures, so I'm actually going to be there. It's going to be pretty cool to finally get my official photo wasn't excited for that until the past week. It's actually, it's a big milestone. There's also a couple other things I want to point out. One is that these hooks to hang your bags on to keep the mice away are pretty intense. They work really well, except they're right over the bags and stuff. And I hit my head on this so many times on these hooks. I cannot believe I didn't like get my eye poked by it or anything. It's crazy how many times I hit my head on that. And that's why I moved my bag over to the other side, because it hangs right over you. So even if you went to sit up in the middle of the night, you would hit your head on your bag. The other thing is over at the privy or outhouse. For a minute, it almost looked like it may be a worker shed when I came up, latched on the outside and everything. And then inside, this is when I knew it wasn't workers. There's a mailbox, which I still have yet to open. Let me see what it is. You'll be here for the official unveiling. Is there anything? No, there's nothing. Yeah, there's just the mailbox next to the toilet. Interesting. I got in a major hiking groove and was hiking by a few section hikers and looked at God to see where I am. I can't believe how much of a groove I got in. I'm at 699.7 when I looked, probably a little further now. So I'm coming right upon the 700 mile marker. There has not been a mile marker, one of the 100 mile markers, that felt like it took so long to reach, just because this week was, as you know, full of a lot of things that I don't usually do, like tons of zeros and all that. But yeah, where was the 600 mile marker? I think that was in that boring stretch. I don't even remember that one, but it feels like it's been a long time since I hit the 600, so it feels good. It just makes me feel like I'm making progress, which gives me a little boost, almost a third of the way through the trail. Well, once again, as I typically do, it looks like I somehow missed the 700 mile marker. I have no clue what it was. I was scanning back and forth. I eventually got to 700.1, still didn't see it. So another section hiker who had not seen it was like, I guess I passed it. But it feels good to be at 700, even though I didn't see the marker. I was excited to see it though, but 700 miles down. All right, finally at the Blue Blaze for Dragon's Tooth. I'm gonna head down there now.
The last 2 or 3 days of our hike, it was like this.
Which is why we now have a Z-Packs tent.
Right now I've just begun coming down from Dragon's Tooth. There's several of these metal rungs on the cliffs. It's gonna be some slow miles coming down. And as you see right here, this is about a 15-foot drop down to here. So this is why it's taking so long. It's a hop, and then down. We've got lots of these purple blooming flowers around. It's pretty awesome to be hiking through this. Finished my route down to the Four Pines Hostel. Right now, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go yet. To go left, I'm going to the, I believe it's the Catawba grocery store, the Catawba Market. It's like a little gas station coming up. So I'm gonna head there first, get a cold drink because I'm super dehydrated. I stopped at the market, like I said, and actually Doc from Angel's Rest was pulled in there. She saw me and we talked a bit. Picked up a hot dog, Dr. Pepper, Propel water for the B vitamins, and tea, just have some refreshing. Well, I'm glad I stopped at that grocery store and didn't continue in the rain, because this is my water source for the next 2 miles and it is really, really muddy. That's how the other one by the highway was too, so I think I'm just gonna skip it because I really don't know if this is like safe water to drink. I don't know what the heck this washed out from. I don't know if there was cow pastures because they're coming up or what. It's not on gut hooks as a bad water source, but knowing how much it flooded, it could be. I was just cruising up this hill and walked toward this guy. Almost stepped on him. I have a lot of like stuffed up issues going right now, so I sound really weird. I think it's like lack of sleep and just being back out and like all of this allergy inducing stuff. So it's like, I feel like I like sore throat, my nose. I'm like, oh. We're gonna push into Daleville today, so I'll also be seeing Tinker Cliffs. So I'll be completing the Virginia Triple Crown. Last night I slept at the shelter with the 3 section hikers I saw, and also, who else was here? Up and Over, who I met at Angel's Rest. We slept in the bunk beds next to each other. So yeah, I saw him, but yeah, they already left. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'll probably be going to Daleville pretty late tonight. Currently about 0.1 to 0.2 miles away from McAfee Knob. It's a pretty crazy feeling. It's gonna be somewhere around here. As always, I walk by things. Apparently, there's not a sign for it, but it says like overlook, and that was the knot back here. So I'm walking back 0.1 miles. Up and Over told me he did the same exact thing, so he didn't see it either, and I don't know if he's gonna be heading back to it. I think he's just gonna skip it. But yeah, I'm hoping there's someone over here to take a picture. There's a deer about 10 feet away from me on trail, and it just hopped down the trail. Let's see if it's still here when we head down. It didn't sound like it went too far. And now it's actually up in these bushes. I can see it walking. And there's a couple more right there, looking down at me. I'm 0.3 miles away from Tinker Cliffs. That is the 3rd part of the Virginia Triple Crown section. Today's been a really hard day. I feel like I'm just sleep deprived, overheated, dehydrated. I have a lack of calories from not being able to really eat because of the rain yesterday. Should have ate more at the gas station. I knew that as soon as I got to shelter yesterday, but yeah, it's just can't wait to get this part over with and be able to head down the hill to the shelter, so that way I can get some food and water and continue onwards to Daleville. Still have like 11 or 12 miles left. I don't even know how many, probably closer to 12. And I'm officially at Tinker Cliffs. Some big drop downs. Wow, this is actually a nice lookout. I heard it was a good lookout, but yeah, it's good. There's a couple of birds flying. I think it's a vulture is the one. Getting attacked by bugs too. But yeah, the one just landed right there. About a foot high. I've been following the path for about 0.2 or 0.3 miles probably at this point. It just keeps winding along this ridge, so you pretty much just get the Tinker Cliffs outlook everywhere. You could stop along on any of these rocks to get a better view. Pretty cool part of the trail. There are some pretty crazy views up here. Got the lake down there and huge rocks. I don't even know how tall this is, but if I stood under there, you get an idea. It's really, really tall. And another night of night hiking. A little less than I expected to have a night hike, I think. So at least there's that. I could see the lights from all the stores. I've made it. I've finished my second night hike. Not as scared of the animals anymore at night, but definitely still scared of like the possibility of people being around the woods, especially when you're this close to town. So every time I do something I'm scared of, though, it gets less and less scary. Man, I've never had an exit off the trail quite like this. Like the trail literally gets off right there and then I'm here. Hilarious.